views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the transformative show, We Carry the Light, with host Dr. Susan Allison, the show that inspires you to find the light within and shine your light in the world. Who are you right now? And who do you want to be? What is it that makes you happy, helps you feel fulfilled, and living your purpose? Tune in and let Dr. Susan help you discover that you carry the unique light that only you can shine. Now, here is your host, Dr. Susan Allison.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to We Carry the Light. I'm Dr. Susan, and I'm so grateful that you're here today, either live or listening to the archive show. You know, I've been getting a lot of emails from people listening to my show, so I wanted just to tell you, if you would like to contact me, just go to drsusanallison.com, and I would love to hear about anything. You can contact me with questions or a desire for help or just to say hello, and I hope that you'll do that. So I always ask you this, but how has your week been going? And I hope it's been a good one for you. Mine has been full, busy as usual, but really fun this week. I had lots of friends that I spent time with, and I went dancing a couple of times, which is my stress reliever. And last night was the last concert of the season here, which is out on an esplanade right by the ocean, and I danced for like 2 hours straight, and it was awesome. So I was wondering what you do that makes your heart sing. What helps you relieve your stress, as dancing does for me. And maybe what allows you to feel more creative and even of service because you've been doing something that fills you up. And for me, dancing and some other things are what I love to do. So as I was thinking about this week, about what makes my heart sing, I remembered, plus I was reading a great book that reminded me too, I was thinking about my childhood and learning to knit, of all things. And my mother taught me to knit when I was about 7 or 8, and she was really a good knitter. She made all kinds of like baby clothes and cable knit sweaters, and it all looked very complicated to me. I never got that good. But I did learn to knit when I was about 7, and I thought it was really fun. And now I can make things that are straight. I can make things that I don't have to use a pattern for. So I make scarves and afghans and things like that. So, but I've noticed that just like dancing, knitting helps me relax at times, especially when I'm kind of fidgety and nervous. I have something in my hands and I'm knitting, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm in a meditation, and I have been a meditator for many years, and it's the same feeling when I'm knitting. I'm sitting there and knitting, and it's like my brain gets a rest and goes off somewhere, and I just get in the groove, like I'm in the flow of something, and it's lovely. So when my husband was ill, and those of you who've been listening to my show know that my husband passed away 2 years ago, I was knitting during the 6 years of his illness, and I would make presents for our family. We have a big, big family, 4 kids, 4 grandchildren. I'd make scarves and blankets and things for all of them, and it really helped me focus on something else for a bit and get sort of my groove and be grounded and centered, and then return to being his caregiver. So knitting really served me at a time that was pretty difficult. I think, in fact, it can help us through rough times. And our guest today has also found that knitting really can be life-saving and definitely enriching. She's Lee Gant, and she has written a heartwarming book called Love in Every Stitch. She's a renowned designer, sought-after teacher, and enjoys working with adults and children, teaching self-empowerment through knitting. Lee's designs can be found in 60 Quick Baby Knits, and her next book, Patterns for Girls, Dress Me Up, will release in the summer of 2016. She lives in Santa Rosa, California, just up the coast from me. So hi, Lee. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. I do this with every guest. I love to start with the personal, which is super easy because your book is all about the personal. It's about you. It's about people you've met and telling their stories throughout the book. So I loved how authentic and honest that you are about your own life and in the stories that you share that I found to be really uplifting, especially the ones about teens. So I'd like to start by hearing how you started to knit and also how knitting may have saved your life.
Well, like you as well, my mother was a accomplished knitter, and she and her sister would spend lots of evenings knitting together on the couch after dinner. And if I was on my best behavior and I could sit still long enough, they would allow me to sit on the floor in front of them, and I was mesmerized by the motion of their hands while they were knitting and the clicking of the needles, and I just wanted to do that in the worst way. It seemed like they would chit-chat away and disappear into another place, and I wanted to find out where that was, and I several times asked my mom if she would teach me, and she said that I would never sit still long enough to learn, which wasn't true, but eventually my Aunt Barbara said, sit down, I'll teach you how to knit. And the minute I touched it, it was magic to me. I had something in my hands that I could be in charge of, and I wasn't getting in trouble. And I think it was probably neon red yarn and some long pink aluminum shiny needles that I thought were just the best things ever. And I guess I was about eight when I learned, and I took to it like a duck to water. It was, to me, the most miraculous thing to take a string and some sticks and wrap loops around it and come up with something growing on the needle row by row. And I loved it. So I didn't keep up with it for very long, and I don't know what happened. I guess other things came along, but I remembered how it made me feel when I got back into it, and really discovered that it was a tool that I could use not only to make really cool things, but there was a place that I got to go while I was knitting. That was that big opening that you're talking about, where your head gets to relax, and I was able to process some of the drama that I grew up with, and it helped me sort things out. While knitting, I'm able to sort of just drift around the universe inside my own head and find places where I need to do a little work and questions need to be answered, and it's through knitting that I started to feel better about myself, and all kinds of things snowballed from there. So
I loved your beginning of your book where you talk about yourself and how you started to knit, and the image I have in my head is you walking kind of across that field and then seeing the knitting store that had just opened. I love that part because it's like you were Dorothy and you're on the yellow brick road and you kind of found Oz.
Yeah, it was interesting that you would say that, because I was on a road, but a pretty serious road to self-destruct. And that knitting store came along right at the time when I was pretty much at my lowest. So those people there, should I ever be able to find them in my lifetime, I would like to thank them for pretty much saving my life with that, inviting me in and making me feel that I belonged somewhere and that I had something useful, a skill or whatever that I could use to be, to have some self-worth. So, yeah, it was a great, it was a turning point for me, a huge one. So that's kind of where I thought I'd start. I thought I'd introduce the book at that point and introduce myself and so I put that in the foreground. That was the lead up to my turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
As far as
no, I saw that. I love that. What's interesting is you were speaking right now. It almost seemed like they were angels. It almost seemed.
I would tend to agree with you on that. I never really saw it that way until enough time has passed now, and I've realized how much actual, spirituality kind of thing. When you look back on things, it's interesting to see how they developed and how this was sort of not of my doing. I don't think things come along right when we need them and are presented to us, and I'm keeping my eyes wide open now. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what it seemed to me, and even more so now as I'm talking to you and feeling your energy. But reading that first part of your book, and by the way, everyone, you really should get this book. It's just incredible. Love in Every Stitch. And you can get it, I'm assuming, on Amazon, and we'll talk about that later. But I loved how it almost seemed like suddenly there's this magical cottage, this magical place showed up with these people that were so loving and just invited you into their lives. And I just loved that part.
Oh, thank you. It's a true story. So.
I know it. It's a true story, definitely. So we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I'd love you to talk about a little more, about how knitting can turn destructive patterns into positive ones, how that happened for you and for the other people you interviewed. So we will be right back with Lee Gant.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.
Chris Stanis is a spiritual leader and healer and teaches a course on how you can transform your life through a meditation and healing system that will manifest your spirit's dreams. She manifested the Women of Wisdom Conference, the Women of Wisdom book, and this radio show. And she can show you how to change your life too. Are you ready? Visit the website and contact her at voicesofwomentoday.com. That's voicesofwomentoday.com.
We Carry the Light with host Dr. Susan Allison is the show that inspires you to find the light within and shine your light in the world. You'll hear from guests who model how to be the highest, brightest, most evolved, fulfilled, and conscious humans possible. Tune in each Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com and let Dr. Susan help you discover that you carry the unique light that only you can shine.
Tired of traditional talk? People pontificating about this or that, the left or the right. Sometimes the truth is just all lost in the noise. Tune in each week to Straight Talk with Chuck Gallagher on TransformationTalkRadio.com, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, as nationally known guests talk about what's important to you, your life, your concerns, and your success. Tune in and turn on to Straight Talk with Chuck Gallagher. Visit ChuckGallagher.com for more information.
Do you want to transform your life's trauma and challenges into the gift that your life was meant to be? It's time for you to take control of your soul journey to heal, grow, and shine. Manifest your destiny with Wendy Wolf, soul transformer, energy, and psychic healer. To start your soul journey, contact Wendy at healgrowshine.com or email Wendy at wendy@wendyrwolf.com and start your adventure today.
How would you like increased health and vitality? How would you like to avoid the onset of disease as well as slow the aging process? This is all possible through a simple, safe, and natural process. Every day we are either moving toward wellness or away from wellness.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. I'd like to be your partner in achieving optimal health. Contact me now at maryjanemack.com or call 425-392-0659. Visit maryjanemack.com.
Artie Hoffman is the hottest psychic with the warmest heart and the host of the hit show Angels and Answers. A renowned psychic, medium, spiritual life coach, and an entertaining motivational speaker, Artie has helped over 15,000 people with his amazing intuitive gifts, his passion, and his humor. Call 877-ANGEL-02 to schedule a personal reading or to have your own psychic Artie party. That's 877-ANGEL-02. And visit ArtieHoffman.com and Angels and Answers on Facebook.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to We Carry the Light. This is Dr. Susan, and I have Lee Gant with me here today. And we're talking about how knitting can do everything from just be fun to change your life and even save your life. So if you have been listening, you know that before the break we were talking about how Lee's own life was saved early on in her life when she was into some destructive patterns. Lee, can you talk a little bit more about that and how knitting really helped you, how other people who are listening could be helped?
Well, I had home life growing up wasn't comfortable. My father was an alcoholic, and back then in the 50s, 60s, parents didn't really explain things to kids. So I had no idea what was going on in my house. I just knew that I was carried a lot of fear, and I didn't understand what exactly was happening. My father was quite violent at times, and I, afraid to ask, what was wrong. I just sort of made up an imaginary world for myself to live in, and sort of retreated inside myself, and also discovered that bad behavior was rewarded negatively, but it was for me, attention was attention. So I learned that I could behave badly and get some attention that way. So I started acting out and behaving badly. And when it came time to being young teenagers, I did all the rebellious stuff, and I found drugs and alcohol and that allowed me to go to a different place, than the real world. And to me, anything was better than living in my house. And it wasn't as bad as I make it sound, but to me it was. So
yes,
everybody's trauma is different, but I just didn't know how to behave myself, and I went crazy wild and had no respect for the rules, and I was frustrated and angry, and through the alcohol, my own alcohol abuse, I picked up a razor blade and cut my wrist with it at one point, and it wasn't about wanting to die, it was about not wanting to hurt anymore. I don't know if it's hard to understand for anybody who hasn't ever done that, but what it got me was attention.
Yeah.
And then later on I used it over and over to try and get attention. Just not even understanding the consequences of those actions, and I knew at some point right before I found that yarn shop that I was either going to be in jail or going to kill somebody, drunk driving, and just completely out of control. And I didn't know where to go with it. So I eventually, did the AA, and I think it was under the guise that a judge in the court that I had to go to for the umpteenth time said, if I see you in my courtroom one more time, I'm taking your kids away.
Oh.
And that kind of opened my eyes and did it for me. So I went through the program and got sober, but there was still something missing. I didn't feel like I had anything to offer, or I really was just sort of spinning my wheels. I mean, happily living sober, but not feeling like I had anything to contribute. And then I got a job in a little yarn shop, and that's where all these stories came from, and things just took off from there. I learned how to be a volunteer and to give back, and that wasn't ever anything I had in my life's plans. And so I can't think of anything else that I did on a continuous basis besides knitting and sharing that, teaching others and helping the customers in the yarn shop. It was the only thing that I did every day and continually, so I got really good at it, and that helped me feel better about myself. And then it just sort of it's the only thing I can attribute my happiness and well-being to, because I think that's really what did it for me.
Yep. What I love also in your book is that it's not only about you, is it? It's about once you receive, and what you received was love. And what every kid wants, what every human wants, is just to be loved. And you're seeking attention in your family. You just wanted to be loved. And so I saw those women in that yarn shop. Basically what they were doing was loving you.
Exactly.
And that, you felt like you belonged, and somebody cared about you, and that seemed, and then the knitting was all tied into it, no pun intended, but it just felt to me like it was also the love, the attention, the feeling like you belonged somewhere. And then I'd love you to talk about how you passed that on. So you felt it. Your whole life took off and changed for the better. And then how did that happen that you started helping other people?
Well, it was started with customers needing help with their knitting projects, and because I had become so skilled at the process and understanding the dynamics of knitting, I was able to help them solve their problems. And I think it was we had parents would show up with a teenager or a child, and I would immediately gravitate towards them and say, "Do you want? I will teach you how to knit. Just come and hang out. We'll knit." And I think what I wanted to do was find out whether it really was, whether knitting would be a game changer for some of these kids, and how I thought maybe if I had stuck with it as a kid, things might have not gone so awry. If I had that boost of self-esteem where I could create something with my own hands and, hold it up, and nobody's going to say, "Well, you're a bad girl." "Oh, well, look what you made. That's beautiful," instead. So I think my goal was to catch. I wanted to be able to give these kids the idea that knitting is a tool that they can use to feel better about themselves in a sort of indirect way. I mean, the knitting is a great medium to bridge the gap between making something and actually feeling good about doing it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
but, I really wanted to see if knitting would make a difference for any other child who might be going through some kind of uncomfortable family situation or peer pressure in school or bullying, whatever's going on in their lives. It's hard enough trying to grow up, without something to be able to accomplish besides your homework and make your bed and whatever, follow the rules. But I wanted to share with them something that's been always kind of touted as grandma sport, and say, look, this is not just for grandmas. This is for everybody. And if it worked for me, I want to see if it might help you. So I think it was me wanting to be, the little mother in me wanting to pick up every kid and say, I don't want anybody to have to go through what I went through. Here's something fun to do. You get some nice colored yarn and some bamboo sticks, and I'll show you how to wrap loops around them, and you can make things.
Yeah. I'd love you to tell maybe a story, if you could tell one from the book. I'm thinking of the girl who was cutting on herself. I'm thinking of some other stories, but maybe choose one and just tell the story, perhaps, of one kid that you helped.
Oh boy, there's been so many even since then.
Just anybody.
There was the one with the teenager where it was at a foster group home.
Yep.
I found out that I didn't realize how many foster youth there were in our community, and that there were 700 or 800 kids homeless sleeping on the streets at night. I had no idea. And I didn't also know that at 18, a foster parent can just toss you out on the street and say, "We're done. You're on your own. See you. Bye." Yep. So I thought, what a great place to go try and meet some kids to see if they'd be interested in learning to knit. So I volunteered myself into the foster home, and sure enough, I do have some tattoos that sort of help bridge that gap between our ages. And the girls, I had one come up to me, and the tattoo covers my cutting scars, and so I'm not say proudly, but I do show it if anybody asks, and I wanted to connect in some way. And this girl came up and told me that how did I stop cutting, because she does it and she's pregnant and wants to stop, and I just knew that was who I was supposed to be there to help.
Yep.
And she came to class, and she tried my patience in every way possible.
Yeah.
But there was something about her that I wasn't going to give up on, and she did end up crocheting and sharing, and others came to the group. We had an autistic teen, young adult actually, who would come, and he didn't knit, but he would hold on to the skein of yarn and the needles and carry them around, and was perfectly happy to join us and talk and share. And
wonderful.
And then he ended up knitting a baby hat for the teen without any instruction whatsoever. So I don't know how that happened, but it was a great time, and I wish they hadn't been so transitional, because I would still be checking in on them. They just they come and go. So I hope I might have made a difference for her. I know she did stop cutting. So
you did make a difference. I loved how you paid it forward, and we can all do that, can't we? Yep.
Exactly.
Well, we need to take a break, but we'll be right back with Lee Gant.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.
Hi, I'm Leslie Fontaine with Sheer Alchemy on Transformation Talk Radio, and here's your tip of the day. What happens after we shift? An energetic shift can be disconcerting. When you shift from the known to the unknown, you literally are going into unknown territory without the former rules and constraints that held you in check. You feel happiness and joy, but you're nervous about not knowing what's next. Even happiness can be unfamiliar. You just don't have the guardrails. No one's telling you, it's dangerous, stop, you'll get hurt. Plunge in, leap, taste it. Listen to your intuitive guidance. Let yourself step beyond the boundaries that you've known and challenge yourself to listen to your intuitive guidance, to your higher self, and learn what you were placed here to do. I'm Leslie Fontaine. Visit me at lesliefontaine.com or call 678-665-3366.
We spend nearly a third of our life on the astral plane. Why not leverage it? Go deeper and learn more with Lynn Brown and Wendy R. Wolf. Join us at the Debuta Playhouse and Cafe in Bellevue, August 11th from 6 to 7 p.m. for basic tools and 7 to 9 p.m. for astral body basics. For more information, email lynn@letteruintuit.com or visit the website at letteruintuit.com.
Tune in to Prescience Life Radio with host Mia Simone. Mia is devoted to sharing her extensive knowledge on the invisible worlds of energy. Join Mia and discover the science of intuition and connect with your greatest gift. Start living in your potential today and every day by opening up to the power of inner knowledge. To learn more about Mia, visit presciencelife.com.
Become a self-actualized professional coach, mentor, and leader, and make your difference in the world. The Rainer Institute has trained people from 4 continents and is the top-rated, accredited coach platform in the world. You'll learn skills from a program created by Mark Rainer as a result of 35 years of research as to what actually works for positive, lasting change. Come if you dare and give your life a chance at making the difference it so desires. Visit RainerInstitute.com to learn more.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
In your ear, but you can't forget from sundown to sunset. Nah. It's all in the air, you hear it everywhere, no matter what you do. It's
Welcome back, everyone, to We Carry the Light. And Benny had quite a song there. I found myself dancing here in front of my computer since I work standing up.
Who doesn't want a little California soul? But it doesn't have to just be for that specific state. It could be all of our states or the nation.
Of course,
and the world. Can. It's the world.
We will share. We will share, Benny.
And sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. But I started the show talking about going dancing last night, so I guess I'm still dancing here in my bare feet.
Of course you are.
In front of my computer. So anyway, welcome back, all of you who are listening to the show today with Lee Gant, and loving every stitch. And we're talking about the love that she has found in knitting and in helping others. Lee, mention briefly about what you're still doing with this group, because it's not like you did it and it's over.
Right. I have an ongoing mission to let anybody who wants to listen know that what a great tool knitting is to like I said, not only make things but to help you feel better about yourself. So I have a once a week drop-in group where I invite anybody who wants to show up to come and knit or get help with a project or start a new one. And I have anywhere from, it could be 4 or 5 people to, I think we had about 16 people last week show up from years ago knitting in the yarn shop, and we have new actually teenagers are starting to come, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And we spend 3 or 4 hours together knitting and chatting and sharing, and this is where the stories come out, and all of a sudden these teenagers are talking to adults who they don't know and sharing bits of themselves, and that's the whole purpose. And you get a table full of people together who are, when you're focused down on something in your hands, is that part of your brain that's not engaged actually is free to talk and share.
Yeah.
And so that's what happens. It's sometimes I chit-chat a lot, and occasionally I remind myself to be quiet, and then I listen, and it's amazing what the healing and the sharing that goes around. I mean, somebody inevitably has something going on in their life that's stressful. I mean, we've all, I just lost my dog, and I lost my sister, all in a short amount of time, and we were able to communicate those things in a group setting where there's no judgment, and it's just a wonderful camaraderie. So I invite I would do it more often if I wasn't in the middle of 2 more books, and which is, but one of the books involves knitting and designing. So to me, I'm actually going to work while I'm in the group. But it's still amazing to me to find out, to see that it does make a difference in people's lives to come together and to make something. And it could be quilting or sewing or painting or building birdhouses.
That's right.
You know, it's about making something with your hands. So it just so happens that the knitting was my tool, and I do crochet. For those who do crochet, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But I need the group as much as they say they need me. So it benefits us all, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. You and I were talking about that during the break, that it's also been for your healing to do this work particularly with children and adolescents, healing a part of yourself as you help them.
Yeah. Well, the kids really, and it's not their fault. They're born into this, high-tech world, and especially now with all of the electronics and the living in the face of a computer world. These kids don't have any idea. I want to at least let them know that there's something else out there. When you're tired of, communicating and being out there in the big cyber world with, and you're finished with your homework or whatever, you can sit down and your mind can go somewhere else while you create something. So I'm trying to get the word out to the kids, especially that this is something you could try. If you as a last resort, if you're at all interested, there's 58 million knitters out there, and all you have to do is ask, and someone will sit down and teach you how to knit.
Yeah, I think it's very cool. It's interesting. You yourself had addictions, and as you've been talking, I'm thinking of this huge ministry for you. And I know you're in the middle of 2 books, but I was going, she could go and help people who are in rehab. She could help people in juvenile hall, the kids there. And what about group homes, the prison system? So I'm seeing this whole movement going into places that could help people that sometimes have lost hope.
Exactly, and actually the movement is already in progress. There are those who are in the prison systems teaching. I approached my local juvenile hall detention center, and they wouldn't allow the needles, so that's a problem sometimes. And but I'm only one person, so I can't physically be in all these places, although I would love to. But that's my mission, is to, if I can get the word out far enough, that others will pick up on the momentum of this and continue to get the word out and share their skills with everybody. If every knitter taught one other person how to knit, it would snowball, and we would all be able to sit down and relax and make the world stop for a minute while we enjoy that tactile, making of something. And then we can give all the hats and the things to charity and babies in hospitals with cold heads and homeless shelters, and everybody who needs something warm to wear would benefit. If you don't want it, you can give it away.
Yeah, and then you really are being of service. I wanted to talk about, we've been talking about how it heals people. I mean, do you think that knitting could actually prevent addictions?
I think I would be. I'm not a doctor, but I would say yes. If had I had something else to do that gave me some some manner of feel good as a kid, I might not have gone the way of that I did with the drugs and alcohol, and been so easily swayed into, come out and do this. I would have maybe rather had, been more comfortable had I had something fun to do.
Yeah.
I had a thought, and then it just drifted away.
It also would have built your self-esteem.
Exactly. I remember what I was going to say. There are proven physical benefits of the chemicals that are produced when you're in that state of knitting. And the same as and meditation is the same idea, but because you're focused down on something in your hands, your brain produces chemicals that lower your blood pressure and relieve your backaches, and there's health and well-being benefits to this as well. So it's not just mentally feel good. You actually, physically can ward off all kinds of aches and pains and sickness and not feeling good. And for me, it's my anxiety medication. So I use knitting as a therapeutic drug for myself. I just would like to have everybody know that there's something really fun out there that can make you feel good all the way around.
Mm-hmm. I used to teach meditation to people who had addictions, and they were mostly adolescents. I would teach these relaxation techniques and also lead them into meditation, because I think what happens if you have an addictive personality is that your energy is scattered. So it's like if it's a food addict, you're opening the cupboards and reaching for something, trying to find something outside yourself that is going to fill you. If you're a drug addict, you're shooting up, or you're an alcoholic, you're pouring a drink or whatever. But there's this sense of trying to find a coping mechanism or something to calm you down because of that frenetic energy is what I've noticed. And so knitting not only calms people down, but it's a creative outlet. So you actually are also doing something that your spirit, your creative spirit is producing, this creativity. And so you get both, I think.
Exactly. You couldn't have said it better. That's perfect.
Yeah, I really love that.
Yeah, it's amazing what a simple a little thing it is, and what a big reward it can produce in all kinds of ways for everybody. There's nobody that can't do this. There are physical limitations, and I'm discovering how to. I'm knitting through arthritis, and it's actually my hands feel better the more I knit. So,
awesome.
So there's just nothing about it that isn't on the good side for everybody.
Wonderful. We have to take another break, but we're going to be right back with Lee Gant.
Hard to find a way to get through. It's a tragedy.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.
Have you been seeing numbers like 111 and 222 everywhere you go? Do you feel that the universe may be trying to get your attention, perhaps offering a message of some sort? As it turns out, numerical patterns and certain types of geometry form the very fabric of our reality, from cells under a microscope to the astronomy of our night sky. At Stellar Reflections, we offer special sessions which tap into these patterns, designed specifically to support you on your journey. The 111 and 222 activations are sessions activating new patterns in your energy field, which in turn can help you create new patterns in your life. After just one session with a practitioner, either in person or via distance, clients report gaining greater clarity, becoming more intuitive, and honoring their inner truth as they move forward in their lives. Curious about what these transformational sessions might do for you? Call 425-999-9836 or visit StellarReflections.com. That's StellarReflections.com.
Holistic Medical Center is where you find it all. A healthy space with doctors who care, see, and listen to the whole you. Hi, this is Dr. Darvish. If you have not found an answer to your chronic symptoms, you will find answers here at Holistic Medical Center. Our doctors find the root cause of your symptoms and guide your body towards healing naturally. We transform lives from within. Visit drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
Calling all dreamers. Are you living your dream life? Actualize your possibilities with Life Coaching Radio and your host, Deb Stetzer. If you're feeling stuck in a rut, Deb is here to help you turn your dreams into a reality. Life Coaching Radio. Dream it, live it, be it. To learn more about Deb, visit www.mylifecoach.us.
Enlightening, humorous, and compassionate. Listen live to The Kelly Ballard Show, insight and inspiration from the great beyond. Kelly is a fourth-generation medium and intuitive who covers topics ranging from grief, spirit guides, and listening to your intuition. Kelly can help you get answers and guidance from the other side with a little bit of humor and a lot of healing. Tune in to The Kelly Ballard Show, Thursdays at 1 p.m. Pacific Time here on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to our last segment of We Carry the Light. This is Dr. Susan, and I have Lee Gant here. If you're just tuning into the last part of the show, she has a great book, Love in Every Stitch. We've been talking about knitting, but not just knitting, about how knitting can really heal people, even save their lives, and that it's a great meditative, relaxing place to go and give your brain a rest, improving your blood pressure, and all kinds of things that we talked about earlier. I was just telling her during the break that I have a bag that I pulled out this morning that's full of gorgeous yarn. Have I been knitting? No. Am I going to start now? Yes, because it's starting to be fall, and I kind of associate fall and winter and a fire in the wood stove with sitting there and knitting, and I'm going to start making some things for Christmas. So I'm so glad, Lee, that you're on the show because you got this bag out of my closet.
Yes, it needs to live. Beautiful yarn needs to live in a basket at your feet, at your comfortable spot. And every once in a while, you admire it, and then you touch it, and then you pick it up, and then you knit a few rows, and then you feel good. So, and then your project builds slowly, one stitch at a time, and you find that you're drawn to it because it's beautiful and you made it. So it's a win-win.
Yay. And somebody else is going to enjoy it, and so you also are gifting people with beauty.
Exactly. I found that I think the most pleasure I had was knitting for my mom, a surprise, and it was an Afghan, and every stitch that I put in that, I was able to visit, mentally my mom. And so when you're knitting for someone else, you spend a lot of time thinking about that person. So it was a wonderful, wonderful knit for a very long time that I got to spend, not physically with her, but mentally in spirit we were together. And so knitting for other people helps you connect with them while you're knitting. So
yeah, and And hence your title, Love in Every Stitch. You were putting love in every stitch for your mom.
Most definitely, yes.
Mm-hmm, I love that. You know, that brings up a question for me about your family. And were you able to heal what happened in your childhood? Were you able to make peace with the people in your family?
Absolutely.
Okay, talk a little bit about that.
Well, I don't want to give it away because somebody asked me, "Did you forgive your father?" And I mean, because that was kind of the whole point of writing this through my my story. And it's a bit of a memoir, but skirting around that in the ways, the structure, how I put this book together. But I have been able to go back and revisit some of the issues and my behaviors and how I felt as a kid. So I've done that with my mom, and my father left before I was able to. I don't think he knew how much of a problem I had. When I left home, I left from Connecticut to California in the late 70s, and I took a long geographic. So I don't know that he knew all the trouble I got into. But if you read the book, you'll find
That's right.
Towards the end, you'll get a resolve
That's right.
that you might not have expected. So
right. I'm glad you're not giving it all away.
Right, but I'm so much better than I ever have been, in a great place emotionally, and even as I get older, I'm actually physically doing well, and I couldn't be happier with the way things turned out. Although if you asked me that 20 years ago, I'd say I had no idea that where I was going, and this book was not in my list of things to do in my lifetime. Yep. So it came as a surprise. In fact, I'm still a bit surprised when I hold it in my hand and say, "Oh, these are the words that I wrote." But the mission was to get it out as far as I could. The fact that knitting helped me through a huge portion of my life, and it continues on a daily basis to help me feel good and keep me happy and doing well. So
good. I'm happy about that, and I want you to tell people how to get your book and how to contact you, and for people in the Santa Rosa, California area, how they could maybe join you for something that's in person.
Oh, I would love that. I have a knitting group every Tuesday from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Village Sewing Center on Santa Rosa Avenue. And it's drop-in, so just come on by and see me every Tuesday afternoon or whatever Tuesday you can. And my website, you can make comments there, and I actually will answer them and talk to you at legantnits.com. You can find the book.
Say that again slower, your website.
legantnits.com.
Thank you.
So just the name and knits and a .com. And I'm all over Facebook because I like to see what everybody else is doing. And you can get the book, of course, online, but it's also in your local bookstores everywhere.
Wonderful.
So it's out there.
Wonderful. And we have to end, but Lee, do you have a final word for listeners?
I would say if you've ever considered wanting to learn how to knit or crochet, go down to your local yarn shop and ask somebody, and they will be happy to teach you. And if you do know how to knit, grab somebody and sit down and teach them so they can enjoy it as well.
Wonderful.
So
Thank
just
you so much.
share the love, share the knitting. Everybody, I would like everybody in the whole, if everyone was knitting and crocheting and making things with their hands, the world would be a much more comfortable place.
Absolutely. More peaceful as well. And thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure. Thanks.
So, and thank you, my wonderful listeners, for showing up and being willing to look at your life in new ways. Maybe knitting, maybe not, but you are making changes. So next week, we have an amazing guest, Dr. Alyssa Metis. She's going to be talking about her son, Eric, who passed away, and he is telling his story from heaven. It's an incredible book that I've not been able to put down. With Eric telling the story, it's being channeled through his mother and through someone who helped her channel the story.
You've been listening to the transformative show, We Carry the Light, with host Dr. Susan Allison, the show that inspires you to find the light within and shine your light in the world. Who are you right now, and who do you want to be? What is it that makes you happy, helps you feel fulfilled, and living your purpose? Tune in every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, and let Dr. Susan help you discover that you carry the unique light that only you can shine.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.